pleasure to host three almost most veteran professionals in the gaming industry. Let me kick off this discussion by asking the panel members to just give a short introduction about themselves and why were they crazy and mad enough to be associated with the gaming industry for the years that they have been. So I'll start with Gokul. Gokul, you may.
Hi guys. First of all, I don't want to call myself as veteran because I don't see myself as old enough to call myself as veteran. But hi, I'm Gokul. I'm being part of a company called Either Games. We are in this industry for last 12 years. Our primary focus has been on the mid-core and core. The major reason being that we are shooter lovers, so whenever we get a chance, we play shooter games, and that was the reason we started this game. And then our primary focus has been on the shooter games. Apart from that, we do also gaming and non-gaming solutions to companies. Yeah, right now we have started focusing on the Web3 as well. Yeah, so that's the brief about
Ajish.
us.
Oh, yeah. I have close to 20 years expertise in gaming industry, specifically in running creative studios as well as developing award-winning products. Coming to that, how we reached into this industry. I think me and my brother, we both were gamers. Even in college days, we were much passionate about games. There was a game called Dangerous Dave, and in our college days, we reverse game engineered this game, and this game helped us grab a coding competition. So further we got half a dozen another coding competition prizes, and this early rewards from the peers help us to jump into this industry. This was initial days, it was really tough, and I think we have gone till 2015. We were focused on the service industry, and further we actually launched as a casual game studio. We don't move further.
Right. Thanks, Mukesh.
Right, so veteran probably in terms of age, but otherwise probably younger from the panel because this is my fourth startup. So this was not like, and I was not a gamer. So for me, it has happened, I would say, accidentally. When your ventures failed, you move from one to another. The last one was into real money gaming, which again failed, and then we went into casual and hyper casual gaming right now. So we are trying to build an IP transmedia, which you were explaining in one of your slides. So since I was not a very gaming focused, we were more into content and storytelling and characters. So we created a character, which is what you will see here, and in all our social media handles. And we started with comics, and from there, when we realized that the community is liking the character, slowly we moved to the gaming. So it's an evolution. We were never there thinking that we are going to do this or we are going to create it, but it's been wonderful journey, and now we can see that larger picture of where it can move to, and that's the attempt that we are trying to do.
Perfect. So Mukesh, you touched upon a very interesting aspect of the entire game development process, which is storytelling. Could you highlight how do you decide on the narrative, the style, the story of the content that you are creating? So be it any media, be it entertainment, be it gaming, be it any media, how do you decide, and how important is storytelling, and how do you decide and fixate on a story that you want to tell to the audience?
Right. So even though we have been telling about storytelling internally and externally, we have not really cracked a game with a compelling story yet. Right. That's like a work in progress for a long time now. But as I said, we were first, so we have gone a little, contradictory in terms of how generally gaming or, character-driven transmedias have evolved, that, you have a story and then a character gets popular and then you create diverse products, branching out from there. What we did is created the character first. We did not had an origin story like most of the characters do. We still don't have. We are actually, thinking a little larger, that probably each of the creator can have their own interpretation about the character and his world building. So the thought is like, futuristic Web3. We have not reached there yet. But as I said, it's a character whom we are projecting as a virtual actor. So each story, each product, each content that we are producing will have him playing a different role, which makes it interesting, which makes it challenging at the same time. But that's the whole thing that we are working it out. It's still new. We have not seen some studios doing something like this, which is why the challenging part, because we don't have too many benchmarks to actually look forward to. But whatever we have done in small bits of experiments, we have seen traction, we have seen it working. Now we'll have to crack one big story soon.
So Ajish, similar question. You have, of course, developed your own IP, Darkarta, which is a narrative-based game. What, according to you, are some of the best examples of narrative implementation in games today that you see in the market that inspired Darkarta in some way or the other? And what did you actually focus on while creating Darkarta as a narrative game?
So, before developing a game, I think we need to understand, we need to evaluate the audience pulse, understand where exactly is a market gap, and then only we need to venture. So, this is something I would like to personally recommend. Regarding the game, see, we were aggressive lovers of hidden object genre. We have been playing this genre since 2005. The genre launched, and see, we were playing the games, and we found that there is a market gap. See, we were playing the game. There was clearly, even though the target audience was 35 plus female, the working women, half of them were from US and some from the Europe as well. But there was no motherhood themed game. There was no tragedy. There was no Indus Valley themed content. So we created. We know we were in the service industry till 2015. So we know how to create top quality content. So we found that with a set of team members who possess the same magical passion, we do believe that we could create better content. And we ventured into creating this content.
Gokul, any comments on what creates magic in terms of narratives in a game?
Like I said, we don't know how to come up with a story on a shooter game. So what we did was we hired a game designer from UK, and because we obviously wanted to have a universal appeal, and that was the primary reason we wanted to come up with a story behind, so that, I mean, obviously everybody knows that a story is needed to engage your audience. So that was one primary reason, and we were trying to figure out a game which actually can have a niche in the market, in the already crowded market. So we come up with this World War One because nobody had tried out World War One. Everybody was into World War Two, and then we also wanted to come up with because if it is a World War One, it's similar to a World War Two. So there is nothing new. It's a pure military setup, and then you are just shooter, right? So what we did was we created a fantasy element of Lovecraftian horror creature, which is a universal appeal theme. And that's the reason we wanted to come up with that kind of story. And then we keep on working and iterating on this game.
Like, talking about game development in general, so how do you find your niche in the market? What are some of the steps that you have taken to identify in an overly crowded shooter market, as you mentioned, and an overly crowded World War themed market also? So theme and genre both are sort of overcrowded already from a plethora of game developers that are available on Play Stores and App Stores. How do you identify? What was your process? What are some of the key insights that you had while you were developing your game?
So it's like saying, like, you like a horror movie, so it's already there, you have already seen it. What are you coming up with an extra, right? So it's similar to that. I mean, it's a military setup, but the people who love military, World War One, or I mean any kind of military setup would be able to find a niche on this. So like I said, it's already in the market. There wasn't any World War One setup. Lovecraftian horror creatures, especially in the shooter, was never there. So we found out, okay, this is a completely niche in the market. That's the reason.
What were some of the early metrics that you tracked?
So right now we have a better CPI, better than some hyper or a hybrid casual CPI, and even D1 looks promising. But then we wanted to keep on working on this. So we are currently still not decided whether to go with a publisher or not. We have a few offers from publishers, but apart from that, yeah, we're still deciding on how to move forward on this.
Thank you so much. Jumping on from narratives and identifying the niches in the game genre, want to talk or spend a little bit of time on services segment. So Ajish, you and Mukesh have spent a considerable amount of time servicing the clients, both global as well as Indian. What's your marketing strategy? How do you reach out to international players and convince them? What's your sales pitch that would basically convince them? What are some of the things that they're looking for that you can probably help them achieve?
Regarding the service side, we were purely focused on the service industry prior to 2050. See, when we started in into gaming, see, there was very few game studios in India. I think there was just 4. India Games, there was Dhruva, there was a company called VP, and even college days we applied for all these and we got a few interview requests from few. See, there was a very limited exposure to the industry overall. And we developed a small game and we tried, but see, as a game developer, my personal request is that we must venture into games only after having thorough experience in this industry by working, developing a few quality service products, because then only when we work with the clients we will understand what exactly is the customer requirement, and only after we could meet the customer requirement, then only we must go for scale. See, developing products of our own is actually like going for scale. So prior to 2015 we had I won't like say that this was a Keiko. In fact, it was like a roller coaster ride. We just got an opportunity to work with few clients all over the world. We worked with the clients in US, UK. See, it is like a slow growth. We were growing from what do you call service products to partnerships with clients. Then we grow to request for proposals. See, for player game we got a request for proposal with the Big Fish Games. See, this game went on to become in world top ratings. See, so top 3 Marapet games have been developed by us. See, and this all inspired us. We know how to create top quality content. So then is the time for us to scale, and we were thinking of.
But for the audience here who are trying to break into the gaming ecosystem, probably waiting to get the good and right product fit for them, they want to maybe focus on some services market. How do they reach out to a player like Big Fish Games, which is definitely one of the top players in the mobile gaming ecosystem? How do, as a service provider, small indie developer, reach out to them?
See, it all depends upon the kind of contacts that you have. See, if you want to directly contact Big Fish Games and request for proposal, it's actually going to be a little difficult, because they will evaluate your prior expertise. They clearly want people who have expertise in this industry. So you must first build a portfolio. I would like to say that work in a couple of projects with first of all, your first client won't be Big Fish. Your first client will be some clients. See, you can get a project from Elance or some freelance site, and you can slowly build relations. You will learn how to connect and communicate, and slow by slow you can connect with the Big Fish. I think this in the today we could connect directly to any publisher directly through their website.
Understood. Thank you, Mukesh. Any thoughts on how to reach out to big publishers?
No, we have not done services really. So I may not be the right person to talk about the services.
Okay.
We have got inquiries and we have done some projects, but we have never gone out and sought projects. So
Understood.
I think he's the best guy to
Then
answer.
maybe I'll jump on to Gokul then. Probably he can share his insights.
So what I felt was that in this industry, nobody gives you any work for a fresher. So if you are a fresher and you say that you need a better, you know how to code, or you know how to design well, nobody gives you work. So the first thing is that you need to come up with your own games, or probably a prototype of game. And I mean, you need to see, show them. If you are not able to show them, I think nobody will give you. And so for the starters, I guess there are multiple genres, multiple industries out there, or people looking out for work. So you need to do your own research and find out what is the niche in the market, or what are the current trend in the market. People are looking out for development. Maybe come up with a prototype on that basis, and then once you have that, maybe you can. I mean, reaching out or networking is never a concern now. In this present scenario, I think nobody even don't care. Only thing is that show your a previous portfolio or the game similar to that they want, you will get the work.
Right. Jumping on from services to the new business model, Gokul, can you share your brief thoughts about what do you think about Web3 as a model? What are some of the things that a developer should do right now in this current market and eventually in future? What's your outlook like for Web3?
So I'm a big proponent of Web3. I'm 100% sure that there are very few users in Web3, but I'm a big fan of Ready Player One, and I still believe that metaverse is going to be there. People are definitely going to use it. It could be a natural progression. Having said that, probably it could be. It's really hard to get into a top 500 ranking in Play Store or App Store at the right moment. So what could be a right opportunity. What I feel is a Web3. So how do we approach a Web3? So Web3 is purely community driven. So if you have earlier, what you used to have is that if somebody was saying 1 million, even a game with 100,000 users who is passionate and who really follows your game can have a sustainable business out of this. This could be the future. So, I'm predicting this could be the future where even with a very small community of users, people can actually drive your business and have a sustainable business out of this. But right now, it could be really weird. People would say that, okay, where are the users? Even the sandbox or decentraland will have very few users. But this will be a natural progression. People will definitely will have a transition from Web 2 or Web 3, even without knowing they are already in Web 3.
Right, so we need a Fortnite moment that happened with free to play, which basically pivoted for Web3 to sort of propel the Web3 adoption. But Mukesh, you also hinted something that you are working on Web3 project and eventually wanting to think to move your project to Web3. What are some of your thoughts? Why do you want, or why do you feel that Web3 is the future for gaming?
So, early last year when we were in that crazy times of Web3 and crypto, we had conceived certain plans and projects for taking our character into a metaverse and having the NFTized games and everything. So I definitely agree to what Gokul said. There is going to be a Web3. There is going to be a mass adoption of Web3, and entertainment, not just gaming, would be the driving force to get those masses inside. But having said that, have we really thought about getting into Web3? Conceptually, yes. But other than that, in terms of a product or in terms of the tech side of it, we have not really progressed because we are waiting for that right time. And I was talking to someone here in the morning. So I also believe that, you need to have, as he said, natural progression only when the current gamers are going to Web3 instead of an entirely new community of Web3 gamers, which is a standalone, a different community. So how do you bridge that gap, in terms of bringing that large mass? For that, the tech has to get enabled, infra has to come in, and few standout products have to come out. So we will not be anyway probably leading that pack for sure. So we'll rather follow someone else when it happens.
Understood. Right. So moving on to the talent into the industry, and as Machaiah mentioned at the start of our presentation today, that every studio, Indian studio at least, has a Malayali in it in terms of in terms of art, design, bunch of other things. I have very close Malu friends who I have had the pleasure to work with. So what do you think is the role of academics in the new age? How should a person who wants to break into the gaming industry should think about entering into the industry today? What are the various resources that you could probably use and leverage and make a viable career in gaming? Gokul, you want to start?
Okay. So in Kerala, there used to be, we never say that common sense as a word in Kerala because everybody, it's a common term. Nobody uses in Kerala. That's the reason. And one of the reason being that we have a lot of engineering talents here. So even if you go to any corner, you don't have to show them that, okay, this guy can actually code. Everybody can actually code. That's in terms of engineering talent, and you have a lot of design talents. So what I felt from my experience, what is missing in the current scenario in terms of resources from Kerala, it would be on the technical artist or a game designer perspective. You hardly find a game designer. I think very few game designers who have made it really big in universal or in global platform. Other than that, you will find a lot of engineering, tech talent, or even the design art talent. So what is missing even for a small indie studio would be in terms of game design perspective, because game design is obviously the creator or the architecture of a game. So whoever has the better architecture in terms of implementation, design, art, that's the reason we find a lot of art outsourcing studios. You will find a lot of servicing companies here. You will find a lot of engineering talents, design artists across the globe who is working in other companies, bigger companies. So I don't know. Probably this is something that required, or probably others have to focus on what I felt was game design and the technical artist, which actually bridges between the design talent, a design artist, and the programming side, which is quite rare. People need to be trained in that, and that is something that we need to come up with. And I'm sure, I think a lot of other upcoming institutes like NID, others have focusing on this game design. It probably might take a little more time to come up with unique game designs. Has been featured from Kerala, probably from India, Kerala talent come up with that. And other than that, I think there is no shortage in terms of engineering or other talent from here.
Do you think learning by doing would also be a great start
That's what we have been doing or training people now. But I felt we don't have, because with our limited bandwidth, what we felt was that this could be one of the reason that we could not be able to train every now and then. So if we have people who has a basic understanding, who is ready to come and work, maybe in a week's training would be fine enough.
So moving on towards the very last question, and we'll start with Mukesh, and all the three panelists are requested to give their views. What is something that you are excited about in terms of future of gaming? What are some of the trends and activities that you have already started deploying in terms of achieving that vision already? Something like a Gen AI or a bunch of other things. What excites you today in gaming is the broader theme. Mukesh?
So what excites me, especially since I mean, I don't come from a serious gaming background, neither as a gamer or maybe even a professionally. What excites me is the fact that it's probably the most accessible and the most economical entertainment that one can have today, practically thanks to the geo revolution and the 5G coming in. Now with AR and generative AI, it's going to be more immersive. I don't think any other entertainment can be so immersive and interactive, which a gaming today can be, which is truly exciting. And as he said, some of those fantastical movies that we have seen, the sci-fi movies, we are seeing in reality, right? So that's all exciting part of it. Second is, as I said, the creative horizons that it will open up, because I need not learn coding to actually code a game today. Right, I need not be an excellent artist to create a piece of art today. Now, I'm sure they have had a decade of gaming experience. They would have started at a stage where all of this was a big task. Today, these are not. But even to use those tech, those advanced technologies that you're talking about, you need some sort of logic and creativity, right? So that's kind of a niche skill which we are going to require and we already require it today, but that's going to be the niche skill which probably all of us would be looking at to create those kind of games that we really want to. But it's far more economical and accessible today than it was probably 5 years back, 6 years back, and I'm sure it is going to get better. I mean, more than 100 reasons to get excited about it.
For sure. Ajish?
I think gaming is the future. See, it's the interactive way of storytelling. We have the richest epics. Even we have each state has its own culture. There is we have the vast garage of resources to pull in from. It's unexplored. That's the most interesting thing. See, when for a player game, when we contacted a US company, Big Fish Games, with the Indian story, they said that this is an Indian story. Their customers 50% is US, and we went on to become the all-time top rated product in that site with the Indian story. So this because just Indian stories this unexplored. The customers have not had exposure with these type of stories. They have experienced fable tales, they have experienced fairy tales, and all sort of Disney stories. But when the first time they were seeing a winged character coming over a winged buffalo, and the first time they were seeing a Mupan Teyyam. So we have a lot of things to experiment with. That's giving us a lot of hopes. And at the same time, there is a technology is going at a very fast pace. See, we are trying to take advantage of these things. Even we are trying to collaborate with a German studio called Brainamics, who is actually using headgears. And when the customer feedback is fed to the AI model, we could understand what exactly is the customer is feeling in a particular scene, and we could fine-tune the game design based on that. So the future is all about immersiveness, emotion, and those who could capture the customer emotion we do believe they could capture the market. Yeah.
Before moving to Gokul, I would really appreciate your thoughts on and views on when we can expect maybe a Kerala themed story or maybe an Indian themed story breaking the world, similar to what we have seen in Honor Kings and a bunch of other Chinese titles.
I would like to say support of early stage investors, because that's actually really missing. We know there is a lot of potential. Even if you check, there was Toons, Kerala's largest animation studio. There is Toons Academy. There is a lot of potential talent available here. There are hundreds of engineering colleges, hundreds of fine art. But what I really missing is that we really miss early stage gaming investors who are willing to we invest on the vision rather than the KPIs. Right now, what we are seeing is that set of investors, they willing to invest in a later phase. But I think if we have more investors willing to invest in a early phase, like there is right now the Sony India Hero project, there is the Unreal Epic Grant, some such stuff from more from investor side, then we could grow more fast.
Sure. So soon then. Soon we can expect.
It's not me to tell. There is the hundreds of they all are.
Understood.
Yeah, right.
Gokul, your views on what excites you about gaming today?
So I had this opportunity. I mean, I was just asking. I was just thinking, what should I come up with? And then I had this one story from one. I met this guy from Pune, and what he said was he actually worked on ChatGPT in a way, and also with one of his machine learning expert guy. So what he did was he actually gave a prompt to a publisher saying that, okay, I have this game which is successful and it's already there in the market. Come up with a different version of this game in a game design format and just send it to 3 or 4 publisher. So what happened was that after 3 or 4 days he got a reply from a publisher. So so he was saying he actually had to go through all the mails just to find out what exactly this ChatGPT actually sent as a game design. So this is where the trend is. People don't even need any resources. If there is any lacking, coding is lacking, you can actually get help from machine learning or artificial intelligence. So in terms of trend, I think it's moving really fast. I don't know what skill set that you need to train on, because probably you need to have a prompt engineering. That's something that is a buzzword now. Other than that, I don't know how fast this is going to evolve. But I think eventually one guy can actually make a game for 100 people games. This can actually evolve. So this is it could be scary, but I think in terms of what you need to learn yourself. But I think if you have if you are in this industry and keep on evolving and understand the trend, I think you will get through this and you will find a way out.
Just to recollect one line that Gokul you mentioned. So today, if you look at AAA games, they have huge budgets. Red Dead Redemption, a bunch of other games, 500 million plus, 600 million plus odd budget, right? And the development period spans over a couple of years. The quote was that 2-3 people in a 6 months frame can actually develop the AAA games that are available today. So the micro indies are gonna be the next big thing, and they can actually create AAA immersive experiences for players, and that's how we increase the content depth. With that, I close the session. Thank you everyone for being a wonderful panel. I would request the audience, if they have any questions, please feel free to put them to our panel.